see is that our guest today is jamming out over in the green screen room, dancing like we both love to do so much. And that was actually one of the first ways that I was introduced to your off Clubhouse persona, was that you just busted out a mini jukebox and started breakdancing at a was it all guys at your experience?
It was an automotive branding / marketing conference. And it just happened to be, no, there was women too. They were watching.
All right. Well, regardless, amazing. And I'm like, we need to be in the same room, and we are not quite in the same room yet, but you guys are totally going to vibe with us today. I'm so excited to introduce you to Nathanael Greklek. We actually tried to have him on the podcast before with David Long, which ended up being an incredible conversation. I'm glad we got that time, but he was traveling. He was on the road again. And so I'm glad to have you in place in a studio so we can get ample Nathanael time today.
Oh my God, so excited. I can't believe it. No, this is so much fun. I was like so bummed. We were going to Lake Placid, and because we're doing an executive conference for the dealership group that I'm working for. We're doing it for the managers and things like that. So I went up there to shoot a video, and I'm like, I was trying to do this thing like in the, back in the old days, like if I lift my phone, I might get service. And I was like, it was like one of the lowest points where I was like, oh man, I want to get in so bad. I'm telling my drivers, because I was riding with somebody, with my pastor, I was like, all right, is there any way we can like move faster? And then we got stuck because they were doing construction on the road. And I was like, go ahead, Lake Placid, the land of no cell reception. So anyway, fast forward, I've been waiting for this time for so long. You are such a positive light, and I love seeing your reels. And man, I'm just excited for what's going on and what we're going to do, because I know this isn't the end. This is just the start.
It's so true. And I love it because we actually got connected from 75 hard, right? Out the gate, right?
Oh man.
And so I have not actually completed it. How many times have you done it?
Just once.
Okay.
My wife said, no more times.
And that was a part of my marital conversation as well. Hence why I didn't complete, but I was on day like 14, and then I did it again. And I was on day 17, and we just kind of had that not unspoken conversation. You know how you have that with your spouse, where like, I kind of hate you that you're going to go work out again, and I'm in the middle of like bath and bedtime. And so, and of course not, my husband loves me at every given minute, but at that time I had that like moment of recognition where I'm like, okay, I gotta lay this selfish desire to the side, even though there's a lot of selflessness that happens on the outskirts of completing something like that. I just knew it wasn't the right season for me. And you had an infant, so if you were my husband, I would be kicking you out the front door. Like, what's wrong with you?
My wife is a saint, and she is amazing. That's all I have to say.
I love that so much. So if you guys don't know Nathanael, I'm going to tell you a little bit about him, because I think it gives us some context to the conversation. But I know that there's so much more to him than just having grit and being able to complete 75 hard challenge, which is insane in and of itself. We could have a whole podcast about it. But he's also he has a podcast himself called Building Brand Legends. And that's what he gets to do on a consistent basis, is really help create branding leaders, specifically in the digital space. And he does that with the Mohawk Auto Group, 2 different dealerships and a collision center, which I think is really unique. And I have never served other than with Glenn Lundy right now in the auto industry, but it is definitely like a whole culture and community in and of itself that I am finding is very tight knit. And the only thing that I ever knew about it was my dad was actually in used car dealership for several years, and he would just go on vacations or cruises when he would win, but he was never home in the process. So I'd love to hear just like, how did you get integrated into that specific field? And was it branding first or cars first?
It's funny you say that, because everyone that's like the number one thing that people are, oh man, how did you must have a marketing degree and a branding degree, and you're ready. Like you were born into the industry. I was like, well, I have a bachelor's in criminal justice and psychology. I was unemployed. I was working out of LA, and I was working for a for-profit giving company called Twill. So I was doing that, and then I was working for this for-profit giving company, and I wasn't really making anything, but I was helping them. It was a startup. We were helping for every product we sold, you could choose the charity you want to give it to. Then we would give blankets and hats and things like that. And while I was doing that, Mohawk Honda actually sponsored a vehicle for us called they were called the givers of warmth. So I did a few videos for them before I even worked for them. And the salesperson that got us in touch was like, "Hey, we're hiring a delivery specialist, a delivery coordinator, and I think you'd be really good at that." Well, I was like, well, I'm not really making much, so yeah, well, why not?
Yeah,
Let's
why
try
not?
it.
It sounds like a good option.
Something's better than nothing. So I started working in that space and helping people understand how to use their car, because everyone knows now it's like a spaceship, right?
Yeah,
Buttons, Bluetooth, backup camera. How do we do
totally.
this? How do I navigate this settings thing? So I became really dialed into helping with that, learning all of the trims, all of the different technology that was available. And they were doing Mohawk Honda at the time they had a social media, they had a Facebook and a Twitter presence at the time. And I kind of just got started in with kind of saying, I think we could tweak something here. I think we could tweak something there. And it kind of got to the point where I was creating videos, and I was on an iPhone 7,
Yes,
and a GoPro 3 Plus
yes, there you
Black.
go.
It's funny because we have a text group with my social media squad. I call them the Mohawk Social Squad. And they literally threw that in there today. My first like 2 videos I ever made for Mohawk. And I was like, wow, this is so timely.
This is terrible.
I rewatched it, and the mannequin challenge was a huge thing back in the day.
Yes, that's
Yeah.
hilarious. I remember that.
Oh yeah. So
Oh,
that was
that's
the
so
first video.
fun.
That was the first video I ever made for Mohawk, and I wasn't even working for him. I was working for Twill. So I made those videos. So they knew that I had experience making videos. So they kind of asked me here and there to shoot some things. And I was meeting up with my mentor, and I was like, I really think that this could be just a job I do all the time, going around taking photos, taking videos, making content for Mohawk. And he was like, yeah, go ahead, go for it. And so I wrote up my own job description, my own title. And I go into the GM's office, the general manager at the time, and I go, all right, I have a good idea. I think it would be great. What do you think? And I hand him the sheet of paper that I spent countless hours rereading and reading over and researching. And he looks at it. He goes, yeah, cool. Let's do it. Like it was.
Isn't it crazy? Sometimes you just have to like ask the stupid question, right? Like we get all up in our head and in our spirit about like, what if they say this? What if this doesn't work? I need to go over it one more time. It needs to be perfect. And oftentimes either they never would have even ideated something that you're creating,
Yeah.
or they were ready and willing for you to ask them. They just didn't know how to formulate the question. So I love that he was like, yeah, let's go.
Yeah, I was
So
like,
did you actually transition immediately into that, like full time, or were you just dabbling in that while also doing what you were doing before?
So there was a little bit of a transition
Okay.
period where I was still doing this, and I was still the go-to guy for a lot of the technology. So even probably a year or so later, I mean, people would still come to me with questions that they couldn't figure out. So I would always, help them out whenever I could, and always thinking about content that I could create out of it and different things like that. It took a long time still the Honda Clarity was the biggest thing when I was a delivery specialist, and I learned the ins and outs and the wattage and blah, 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 all of this fun electric car things, hybrid things.
My husband drives a Tesla, so I am all into the tech of
There you
that.
go.
Yeah.
So this was a plug-in hybrid, and everyone,
Nice.
people still come to me about asking me the question. I'm like, all right, I'm gonna have to deep dive into my knowledge. This is about 3 years ago. All right, here we go. They still call me the expert for that. I'm like, I hope someone could step up for that.
Hold the title if you want the title, but realize at the end of the day, we all evolve, and so do the vehicles.
Yeah.
And so it's going to change. And I think that's one beautiful thing about the evolution of any career, and has been actually a difficult pain point for me when it comes to like labeling what it is that I do. Even through Clubhouse, right? I was at the Breakfast of Champions experience in New York City, which you better be at the next event, BTW. Are you coming to Grow for God in Kentucky?
Yeah.
I
Maybe.
am knocking on your front door.
Okay, knock on my front door. I'm going to try and make it.
Okay, so we're sitting there, and I talked to several people who, in different phraseology, was basically saying, I love everything that you share, and I love your energy, and I love all of your passion, and I love the way you talk about God, but like, I don't really know what you do. Like, what do you do for a living? And I'm like, shoot, I've done a terrible sales job. But at the end of the day, like, that is what I do. Like, it's all of the
Mm.
passions of who I am. And I don't necessarily think that we have to create a labeled box for what it is that we're passionate about, which is why I love hearing this evolution story. Then you've got the pandemic of positivity around you, because I know that's another component of passion.
Yeah.
And we get to be all of the above, but culture is so used to putting us in a box of, oh, you're the branding expert. Oh, you're the tech guy. Oh, you're the podcaster. Oh, you're the right? And so talk me through, like, what did that transition look like when you became the podcaster that you are today, and also through the pandemic of positivity? Are people okay with just like creating a rap sheet resume for you?
Oh my gosh. So building brand legends actually happened around the time Clubhouse opened up.
Really? Oh, okay, cool.
I haven't been doing it very long at all. Well,
Awesome.
granted, it's been like 7 months now, 6-7 months. But yeah, that's very new, and I'm still like evolving and trying to make sense out of it, because it was only Clubhouse, and probably 2 weeks ago I just went Facebook Live with it.
Even better.
Yeah.
This is awesome. Okay, so you were calling it a podcast, but you were recording and also being live in Breakfast with Champions.
Yeah,
Okay.
I wasn't recording anything. Like I was it was literally just Clubhouse. There's no recorded audio of that. So it's funny. I actually have it right here. This is all my notes from all of my Clubhouses. So I'm going back right now, and I'm throwing them, and we're making actual videos of my acronyms that we've started. So for anyone who doesn't know, Building Brand Legends meets every Tuesday at 8:30, and we do an acronym. So we pick an acronym, and we break it up by letter, and then we help people build their brand by that. So creating value, how do you start your brand? How do you clap for fans? Things like that. It's so much fun. And that was an evolution in of itself, because all I did was one acronym one night. And Tony with the Keys, who many people, I don't know if you've had it on your podcast yet, but
I need to get him on the podcast. But I've been jamming to his Grow for God song lately. Rise and Grind was a favorite, but this one has totally hit the charts.
He's amazing. Yeah. So I've been watching Glenn for about a year and a half before Breakfast with Champions. And, I got the shout out. I was so happy.
Awesome.
June 7th, I'll never forget. And I also had him sign it. I had a quote, and so I've been following that. But Tony with the Keys, I was like, man, I need to meet this guy. And he actually is part of my club. He's part of my podcast. He hops in my podcast. We go back and forth. We have a good time, and he's always giving insight. And so, just a small evolution. He goes, one day after my acronym, he goes, you should do this all the time. I was like, all right, let's go for it. Let's send it. So that's where we've been. That's where we've been for the past 6 months, 7 months, going through acronyms of how to build your brand and become a legend.
That is so epic. And, I think the concept of branding and designing those things around who we are and also what we do is something everyone needs access to. And I think it's been kitted as like, you're an entrepreneur or you have a business and therefore you're a brand. But I had someone by the name of Jeff Goins speaking into my life at a mastermind this past weekend. He has a podcast called Hey Creator. You should check it out. You'd really like it.
I'm going to have to write it down. I forgot a pen though.
Hey Creator. I'll touch you back afterwards.
Okay, good.
But he was having this like super like existential, like philosophical conversation with us, and basically just helping us think outside of the box. And I'm also a branding expert when I create people's businesses, but I always start with the identity of the person first, because I think a lot of times people will go with what's popular. I can raise my hand because I did that several years ago. I went over like the color scheme that was popular or the font script that was popular.
Oh, yeah.
To realize, one, that really has nothing to do with your brand. And two, if you're choosing things that you don't love, eventually you're going to fall completely out of love with it because you don't love it in the beginning. And so he says to us, your brand is just a myth. Branding is a myth. It doesn't exist. And I'm like, what? What do you mean? Like, I don't know if I believe in that. And he's like, well, if the brand goes away, you're still you. And if you're saying that you are your brand, does the brand have more importance or do you have more importance? And where's the identity factor?
Ooh.
And I'm like, oh, you're punching me in the gut right now. And so I
That's
feel
deep.
like there's this really like massive conversation that could happen even over top of the branding of knowing who you are. And I know you and I are in the same faith belief system, and knowing that our identity stems from God allows us more confidence in that, because
Yeah.
we don't have to call ourselves, we don't have to label ourselves, we don't have to put ourselves in a box, because we just get to say, I'm a child of God and He is all things.
Yeah. I think that's something that really has definitely brought me to where and helped me get to where I want to be and where I already am, because there was never a sense of like, what's my purpose, right? There was always a sense of whatever I'm doing, I'm giving 110% every single day, every single time I show up. And that has really been one of the biggest benefactors to helping me get to where I want to go. So whether I was food running, so I used to be a food runner at a restaurant, I would
Yes.
sprint upstairs, I would skip stairs, I would make sure that they had their food as fast as possible, being super friendly, super helpful, to the point where I was, working at Hollister, stacking clothes, right, and having fun there, moving on over to valet, running 16 miles a day with a smile, and then helping people shoot videos, then helping people deliver vehicles, and now where I get the opportunity to brand one, in my opinion, the greatest auto group in the nation right now in terms of culture and progressive thought of branding and personal sales branding too. So it's just amazing. That's something that I've always, I have my vision, and I know whether I fail at here, maybe God closes the door here, and He opens the door somewhere else. And it's just been, my whole life has just been a door opens, a door closes, a door opens, a door closes. And waking up with gratitude has also been one of the greatest things, because I know that I could have been dead at 11 months old on the operating table when I had open heart surgery. So being gracious
You
of
guys,
being
this is like
alive.
a skirt. Hold the vehicle right here. Hold on. Tell me more. Like, I want to know what happened.
So I have a thing called tetralogy of Fallot. I have 4 things wrong with my heart. So when you're a baby, your septum isn't closed because your mom does all your pumping for you. But when you're out, you need to start pumping, and mine didn't close up all the way. So I was supposed to get surgery at 6 months old. However, I had an ear infection, so they couldn't do it. And then 11 months old, I had my surgery, and because of that, now I have a few things wrong, and that's the short story.
How
I
do you have
don't
something
actually.
wrong with your heart and you did 75 hard?
Yeah, well,
Carefully? I mean, really?
carefully, yeah. So
Okay.
it's funny because I've been an athlete my whole life, so I've learned my limits. I'm gonna say I've learned my limits, and I've pushed my limits to where I know what will happen if I don't stay within my limits. I used to run cross country to the point where I would be hacking and wheezing and like basically giving myself sports induced asthma. And they were like, whoa, 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 you gotta slow down there. But I always found a way around things. So I still stayed in track. I learned how to do hurdles. I had long, lanky legs and a short torso, which I still do. I don't know if Glenn saw the high kick, but you can ask him about that.
I
Uh,
will.
so like I did hurdles, I did high jump, and I just did short distances, but I was able to excel at that. Owning records in high school, and I wanted to go to college, but I worked 3 jobs, and college and sports and working doesn't really work. So yeah, so here I am.
Really
I'm
wild.
living.
You're here, you're
Yeah,
breathing, and your heart is beating, which I'm
I
really happy
know.
about. I'm curious, just because I was thinking of you being 11 months old on an operating table. And of course, my mama heart is immediately like, oh my gosh, I can't imagine how your mom felt.
Yeah.
When you became a dad,
Mm.
was there like components of fear at all associated to that?
So it's funny because my daughter is 10 months. She'll be 11 months. Oh no. Wait. 11 months and 26th
Oh,
of
wow.
September.
Okay.
So it's like it's almost surreal, right? Where
Mm-hmm.
this is where my mom. So this is where my mom was in the ICU, the NICU
Totally.
with me. And she told me that she used to just play praise and worship music, and she was actually able to. So even this is crazy. So even in the darkest time, I would say as a mother, this would be, no, she is praising and worshiping God in this hard time and is ministering to people in the hospital with the condition that she's going through. One of the biggest things that I took away, that, you know, it's insane.
That is so incredible. And honestly, I feel like in the state of being of I am now and the belief system that I am now. And like, I've always known that there was a God, and even I thought got saved. I say I thought, I should really like process that one day, but was saved when I was a freshman in high school, then went through a whole evolution of like church hurt and striving and perfectionism and all that stuff. And really I always loved music, but did not grow an affinity to like deep worship music or the true depth of like the sound, even beyond the words, until I was like 30 years old, 29, 30. And so my kiddos were 1 and 2 at the time. And since then, if you come into our house, especially if my husband is home, there is just praise and worship always on the radio. And our kiddos know like so many songs. And if it's silent, they'll start singing, and that's what comes out of their mouth. And I just believe that there's such power in knowing words that are not necessarily your own, but are specifically scriptural in order to help you overcome even silence in your season. And that being a hardship. I am all for praise and worship, and which is one of the reasons I even love to dance. So it doesn't necessarily have to be praise and worship music that I'm dancing to, but it often is. But I can bust out a beat to a breakdancing song too. Have you heard of the song Church Clap?
Is that by Kirk Franklin?
Yeah. I was like breaking out on that on the dance floor the other day.
Oh, yeah.
Like, yes, this song, it makes me so happy. And I think
grew up,
it evokes
with
people. So good.
Yeah, I grew up with all the old gospel songs. Kirk Franklin, God's Property.
God's
Stomp.
Property.
Yeah.
I don't know that one.
Oh man, I'm gonna have to send you that.
Okay,
I played it at my wedding.
Did you? That's awesome.
It's called Stomp Remix.
Okay, I'm excited.
Yeah, it's great.
Okay,
and my mom, like, that's all we ever had. We had CDs of like old Christian gospel music.
Wait, we might be talking about 2 different songs, but I love old Christian gospel. I'm going to send it. Okay, we have to exchange podcasts after this, and now we're exchanging songs. This is what's so fun about this, you guys. You get to take notes while we're not, because we're right here in the moment.
Yeah.
But I'm curious, even just from the songs, from the transition of your life, like you've had a lot of like really cool odds and ends jobs. I was the same. I think as someone who has a passion and a vision, it doesn't really matter what it is that you're doing. You just get to do it full out. Right. And so I've always been somebody who just attacks things with that 110% mentality. I'm curious how, obviously, integration of positivity in working with the Pandemic of Positivity as a co-founder, right? Talk me through what that looks like and how you guys plan to move that forward in the world.
Yeah. So this came about with David Long, who we were on the show with that one time. I cut out. Sad day. But
okay,
so grace and peace. So the Pandemic of Positivity, we're actively currently changing. We're going to do the pillars of positivity. So we are creating 7 pillars for positivity that are going to kind of set the tone for who we are and our movement. And it is to help create a more positive world by assuming positivity, by having people take the pledge, text the number
919-563.
Oh, here you go. Wait.
568-5792. Hold on, we got to do it again. 919-568-5792. Text the word POP, Pandemic of Positivity. Yes.
So we encourage everyone to go to pandemicofpositivity.com, take the pledge, and pledge to be that salt and light to somebody around you, to spread. There's so much negativity out in the world, and doing one positive thing a day, for me, I always here we go. I love the acronym HOPE, right? Help one person every day. And I actively look to make sure that I do that. And the Pandemic of Positivity was one way that I could hop in, show my positivity, show my creativity, because I am a content creator at heart. I love creating things. It's so much fun. God has given us the gift of creating things and whole life for his glory in that sense. And then being able to kind of take this movement to where we want to bring it, which is going to affect our homes, our communities, our municipalities, our government, and eventually the world. So it's one step at a time, one positive moment at a time that we can make. And we'll be throwing up pop events where we'll get a group of pop people, pop pledges, pop,
Oh my gosh, I'm
whatever we want to
so
call it.
excited about this. I
Yeah.
want one. Let's do a pop party. I'm in. I'm all for
Throw
a
a pop
party.
party and bring those who are in the pop pledge, actively engage with them and just build that sense of community around positivity, because it's so easy for everyone to stay on negativity. It's so easy that the news is all of that, everything on Facebook, everyone wants to post negative things because it draws attention. We're like, oh, ooh. But if you can create that positive moment and reflect on gratitude and make the world a better place, that's what it's all about.
Yeah, so good. I was envisioning as you were talking because I was a part of a dental system company called Gendex.
Okay.
And it was like, I think I was like 25 years old. I was in the middle of multiple businesses prior to that and then multiple businesses to come. And we did a like $1.2 million build out on an RV. And this was way before like
Whoa.
RV living and RV lifestyle and tiny homes was popular.
Tiny homes.
And we did this massive like branded experience where we were going to all of these convention centers across the country, even into Canada. And I was like in charge of creating the content for it, developing the website people could follow and track, and getting the hotel. And imagine trying to find car washes across the country that could fit these massive vehicles. But people would come on into this experience, and inside of it, it was called the Gendex experience. They would walk into like a very beautiful 7 different flat screens in the facility, high tech, $140,000 pieces of equipment in it. And they would come in like they were going into a dental office, and they would get to test and try all of the products. And so as you're saying that, I'm thinking how rad it would be to have a vehicle that's actually going and popping up in all the cities, right? I could just see the yellow vehicle, like the massive buses. It would be so cool.
That's awesome.
Yeah, so I'll just give you that little branding nugget.
I love that.
See
That's
what you guys
great.
do with it. So talk us through, because I think a part of this, it's less about the message, even though the message is so powerful. It's more about the activation of, right? And I am all for activation. I think ideation is awesome, but if we are co-creating with God, creating is a process, right? It's bringing what is on the inside to the outside. And I think culture is very similar to that. So I'd love to hear like your specific take. You said it was one of the number one auto groups in the country, if not the world. Talk to me, like, how is culture at the root of what you guys are doing from a branding perspective?
So everything we do is to inspire our employees, our communities, our client partners, to become the best versions of themselves. That's our mission. Our mission is, when we just so happen to sell cars. So the owners and the managers actively participate in working to make you or help you become the best version of yourself. And it's actively talked about. It's actively given opportunities to do that. That's why I can actually do this podcast right now, because they understand that this is helping me become a better person. And this whole branding thing too, we're helping salespeople brand themselves. That's unheard of. I mean, I have 9 people. I call them my branding betas right now. They are 9 salespeople who have their own hashtags. They have their own logos, and they are actively
Wow.
branding themselves within their community
That's
because
brilliant.
that helps them become better. That
Yeah.
when you have to go out and you have to choose the persona that you want to come through that door, when you have to choose where you want to be, what does it look like for you to have to where you want to go? What is the vision? What is your mission? What are your values? You are becoming a better person, and you're helping those around you become better as well. So the way that I love to look at it, and the way that I see it right now, is that the owners are actively around. They come around, they say hello, they actively are talking to employees. They don't just come in and they don't just leave. They walk around, they try to help out, and they care about you. There's so many times I've heard, and when people join, we call the Mohawk family, it's not what I hear around anywhere else. It's not what I hear when another salesperson or another service person comes in. They are always saying, Andy or Jeff or Jonna or Greg, they actually care about who I am and how to get there. And to the point where now we're doing adaptive leadership courses on how to become a better leader. How do we lead with dignity and help those around us become the best versions of themselves? So that's why I would say that
Yes, that's so
they actively care
pivotal.
about the culture. Yeah.
Absolutely. And I think what, like you said at the very onset of that entire thing, was the fact that like they are humans who just happen to sell cars.
Yeah.
Right. And when you have a transaction like that with just a fellow human, and you're like actually pouring in and being poured into by that, versus what so often you hear. And I think of even an auto dealer, I think of like, here's my business card. Right. And
Yep.
they're like automatically like blocking, like, and there's nothing about me. If you're watching this live, I'm literally covering my face. It's like, you don't need to know me. All you need to know is here's my number and here's how you get in touch with me to buy a car. Other than that, I don't really want to be with you.
Right.
But if you approach a human to human interaction, and Joshua Lee, who's on Clubhouse all the time, he's a LinkedIn professional, he talks about H to H, which is like there's no business to business, there's no business to consumer, there's only H to H, which is human to human. And I took it a level further, and it's only heart to heart, because even in humanity, people are having discrepancy. And I think that if it goes layer deeper, we stop looking at what's going on the outside, we stop caring about the business cards, and we starting to look at each other's heart, which is so crazy that we're talking about your heart in conjunction, because there's so much depth to that. I feel like it's brandable. You could brand it.
Oh man, I know. And that hits all the points that I always talk about. And this is the thing that I have been creating and working with Andy and the owners, creating this sense of branding. So you'll know if you go to Mohawk Honda, Mohawk Chevrolet, our Facebook page, our YouTube, you won't see the typical, hey, here's your car, this is this, got this many miles, blah blah blah. We're actively showcasing our employees, we're actively showcasing our culture, we're showcasing the fact that we're in the community, helping the community. This is what it means to be a dealership in the community that you live. It's not just, hey, when every 3 years when you have a car issue, come see us. And when you come in for service, we want them to actively follow us and become a part of what we're doing in the community. So we're right now we're doing, I'm sorry if you can hear the
no, I can't hear anything.
Okay,
no, that's good.
I'm literally right next to the service drive, so if you hear a screw gun, I apologize.
That's awesome.
So getting them to come in, we're doing a school supplies drive for Things of My Very Own, which is a local charity for displaced kids going through domestic violence and things like that. And now, because of the hurricane, there's a lot more need. They're getting inquiries from all the way. So we're upstate. I'm in upstate New York. New York City is about 2.5, 3 hours away from me. And they're getting inquiries from New York City because of everything that's going on. So we're actively playing a part in being able to help our community, because we're doing this drive, and we're teaming up with the news, we're teaming up with police organizations, and we're teaming up with the community. We're actively out there, we're on the news, we're trying to get people to come in. Honestly, this is one of the things, Mohawk Honda and Mohawk Chevrolet, we are so gracious that we are abundantly blessed with our finances and being able to give back. So we actively preach that as well. We have been giving so much, so let's go out and give as much as we can. And we have salespeople going out, they're going Facebook Live on their pages, like, hey, I'm here in Walmart, I'm grabbing all these things. I'm grabbing these things for Things of My Very Own. If you can, you do it too. And it's bringing that sense of community and culture, and we're all one big family, right? I'm your brother, you're my sister,
totally.
and the next person I meet in Christ, we are all one. And when we can help each other and bring people up, there's so much more that we can do. And it was crazy. We went around like, hey, we're gonna go grab some school supplies. Do you want to donate? We pooled about $1,000 that day to go out and get school supplies, which I believe is up on our Chevrolet. Yeah, it's up on our Chevrolet page. So if you want to see the fun that we had, going to Walmart and getting these
That's
guys,
awesome. Yeah, you can get a
check
lot with
that out.
$1,000.
Yeah,
That's
it's funny
awesome.
because I did this. It was like we had 3 carts of stuff, and I go, all right, do you think we're under or over? They're like, I think we're gonna be like right there. We were way off.
Really? Under or over?
Under. It was
Wow, with 3 carts full.
3 carts. We were only at about $600.
Wow,
And
that's
we still,
amazing.
oh, you know what? It was actually $1,200 because then it was like, oh man, we still have all this money. We got to go back. We had to
So then
call
you
for
had to
backup.
add, yeah.
We had to call for backup. They had to come bring another truck because my van was full of things. I had 5 people in my car, so we couldn't handle anymore. So it was, that is what it's like
That is
to be
awesome.
in the Mohawk family and to be able to give back to the community and inspire our community, our employees to become the best versions of themselves so we can inspire others to become the best versions of themselves too. So
What I love about that imagery so much is that because you're focused on the people instead of the brand, but the brand becomes that because of the people, those people that were a part of that experience are going to remember that forever, right? Like they're going to be able to take whether Mohawk Auto Group is a part of that story or not, they're going to remember the place and time, the emotion that was connected to it, and the give back piece and how it changed them for the better just to be a part of that. And I think it's so fun to create memories in your culture outside of what do you have to do when you punch the clock from 9 to 5. And I think for decades, for eons, we've gotten that wrong. And so to realize that we get to bring all of ourselves to our experience, and that's what I'm so passionate about being an entrepreneur for, is that I don't wear one hat when I show up. Every single day looks totally different. My desk is filled with different things. I get to interact with different people every single day. I get to wear new outfits every day. Like I get to do new stuff all the time. I was actually a little disappointed he's not wearing his bow tie right now, but
I know,
it was in the intro video. It was in the intro video, so I got my bow tie fit. But no, like I love that you're actually embedding the culture rather than just projecting the culture. Because I think that's what a lot of people do. We are this, right? And that's great. You have your mission, vision, values down. We're so proud of you. Yeah. But is it embedded into the people? And that's what you guys are doing so well.
Actively working to embed it, and to the point where we actually have 4 events this weekend on the same day.
Holy cow.
Yeah. So it's we're pulling
so you never run out of content is what you're telling me.
Oh, absolutely not.
That's
Are you
awesome.
kidding me? Are you kidding me? We have so much content. It's crazy, and the fun part is that we're starting all these fun things, whether it's Fireside 5-star reviews with Dax, or the Craig and Greg show, or the plate challenge, which is actually one of my favorites. We have
I don't know this.
Oh boy, you're gonna have to check this out. So we created a game out of changing plate frames. So one of the things that a lot of salespeople do is they change plate frames. So we create a bracket, Honda and Chevy. They go head to head, and then the winners go against store winners go against each store winner. And it's
that is
like
so fun. It taps into that community piece, but also the competition piece, which I know a lot of you guys enjoy.
National Plate Change League. Here we come.
Yes. Do they get a trophy? Do they get a medallion? Do they get a plaque on the wall? See, that's so fun.
I wish I was knew I was gonna talk about it, because it's literally like,
oh, it's huge. Oh, that's awesome.
It's crazy.
That makes it that much more fun.
It's so much fun, and they can check that out. It's on our YouTube. It's on our Facebook page. Just type in Plate Change Challenge.
I love that. So we're about to have like an event here locally in Virginia. And one of the things we're going to be talking about is like employee retention, employee satisfaction, what's happening with unemployment versus that, and really helping entrepreneurs and business leaders and even pastors talk through these conversations about how to keep that. And I think this conversation would be a massive impact for them to understand that it's about that embedding process rather than just preaching and having it on a wall medallion somewhere, right? I love that you guys are doing that way. What additional resources or information would you provide to those types of people who are struggling with either the retention or the acquisition of new employees?
So I would tell them that it's not an overnight success. So we took over Mohawk Chevrolet.
Shoot, the podcast is over. Not an
no.
overnight success.
Oh.
No, people, you said, oh
I was like, oh no, we're done. Oh no.
No. Just the fact that like everyone wants that one trick pony kind of answer. So keep going.
Yeah. So it's not an overnight success. We took over Mohawk Chevrolet 2.5 years ago, and we had to rebuild it. We took over a previous franchise, and we had to bring that culture in because nobody understood what we were trying to do. So, they bring in someone like me who comes in with high energy all the time. And like, who the heck is this guy? What is he doing? Why is he taking photos of me? What is this thing? Why does he have his phone out 24/7 trying to grab content? What is content? It's all these things that
my dad, if he was still in the industry, would be like, no, what is happening?
Yeah, it's crazy. So there's that, it's an active process where you have to continuously do it. And it's not, like you said, it's not just putting the plaque up on the wall, but it is actively getting engaged with your community and letting people know, hey, we are doing this. Who can this is who we are as a group. Who can join? What are we going to do? And how can we make what we're doing a better place to work and live? Because we tell everybody all the time, and I talk to myself, you spend more time at work than you do at your house, right? You're going to spend 8 hours a day, 6 days out of the week. We're closed on Sundays, thankfully.
Good culture.
Yeah. So knowing that you spend 8 hours a day, you have to build that over and over again. You have to keep reiterating it, because if it's cool if you do it, like, if you do it once a month or once a year, you're like, all right, here's the annual blah blah. It's not going to stick. You have to do it over. You have to continuously tell them, show them what you're doing, tell them why you're doing this. Why do you want to be in the community? Why do you want this place to be the way that you want it? Because people don't understand unless you tell them. And I would say actively communicate what you're trying to do as an organization. So let's bring this back. I've talked a lot. Be patient. It doesn't happen overnight. Take action continuously and keep reiterating over and over to the culture, like, this is what we do. This is who we are as a company. We're working to help X. We're looking to do this. We're looking to be this part of the community. These are the events we have scheduled. Who can make it? We are. So this is the practical, right? I love tactical and practical.
Me too. Bring it.
Tactical and practical is my thing. For my building brand legends, tactical and practical is all. So have your event, and this is where Mohawk differs within the community. So we say we're going to give X amount of money, but we are going to be there. We're going to be the boots on the ground to help you out with whatever you need for volunteers. Maybe you need something specific. We're going to help you out with that. Do you need a vehicle that we can drive? Do you need a vehicle that we can provide? And this is a new one that many dealerships can't offer because they don't have someone like me or someone on my team. But a lot of charities don't have the ability to create content themselves in terms of creating that basic line of what the charity is about, how they got there, who they are. And we get to sit down and really deep dive into a conversation about this charity group, their mission, their vision, their values, and create this high quality content that they can put on their Instagram, that they can put everywhere. So we have the ability to do that. So, and that would cost them thousands of dollars, right? The amount of value that creates is
brilliant.
So there's so much that we can incorporate, and we showcase. I spend 3 hours, going to shoot a high quality video. I shoot on a Sony A7R4. For anyone who knows what that is, it's a high quality camera. The megapixel is 63 megapixels. That's about 4 times the size of your phone camera. And we shoot 4K. We shoot all of these things to allow people to have the best experience, not only in our dealership, but our community at large. And we showcase that over and over, and letting people know, like, hey, we're going out, we're going to go shoot this charity. Let's see how we can help them even further with just that.
I
So
have never heard of that. That's a brilliant. I love that so much. And I mean, they're already, you're already an asset to them, right? To Mohawk. So it's amazing to be able to utilize your resources to the fullest extent rather than just what people think about. I was like, I don't have the finances to do that. So sorry, I can't help you. Like there is so much more from a resource bucket that we need to pull from on a consistent basis: time, energy, ideas, service, right? I just love the people aspect of that is so powerful. And ultimately, I think from a community standpoint, it becomes less about the cars. That just is the positive like outcome,
that's right.
That's just like a bonus icing on the cake. Oh, and by the way, I bought my car from there, but they also help my children's school. They also help my this sex trafficking organization. They also help, right? And that's so powerful to be able to kit that experience, brand it for people. I want to give you just a couple more minutes to share. Like, is there any topics of conversation that we didn't dive into? I mean, I am learning about you for the first time, but I feel like so much of it I already know, and I'm so grateful for that.
Ta-da!
He took the pledge, people.
We're in
Yes.
day 8 right now.
Yes, we are, sir.
Yes. So this is actually something that I would agree with Glenn Lundy about, starting your day early. So before I even met him on Facebook, before I even saw his show, I was always waking up at 5 o'clock, but I never had, what do I do? I wake up at
You're
5
up
o'clock
before
and I'm
everyone
like,
else. What do I do now? Yeah.
okay, maybe I'll go work out, or maybe I'll read a book and, kind of start my day a little faster. Maybe I can do some chores. But I really, the morning 5 has really been a blessing for me, because I get to write down my gratitude, my goals. And I love the encouraging message. It's fun because I send, I have so many people in my phone, for a kid who had a phone since high school, still has all of those contacts that I
Yeah,
randomly,
me too. Me
I don't
too.
know if
Same
this,
phone number. I have the same phone numbers in middle school.
I wish I had the same phone number, but if I did, I would have 2 phones, and I started losing my phone. So I got
Gotcha.
1 phone, and I have my work phone. But so I'll randomly text like, "Hey, this is Nathaniel. I don't know if you still have your phone number, but I just want to say you have a great day," And the replies I get back are
So
awesome. Like, "Oh my
cool.
gosh, I haven't, thanks so much. I am okay, cool."
That's
And
rad.
there's a lot of people that I know personally that are just going through a hard time. So sending that encouraging message, like, it's just a nice reminder, like, hey, be a blessing to someone who really needs it, and be the salt and light that God has called us to be, right?
Yeah,
Give
it's so good.
110% my life for his glory. So
I love
there's
that so much. And I think a lot of times, and there's like the conversation of love languages that come into play whenever I think of sending the encouraging message, because I am not a words of affirmation love language kind of person. It's actually furthest down for me. And yet at the same time, I am really good at writing, and I'm really good at affirming other people. And I'm really good at wanting to see other people like brought to their inner light out to shine as well. And so it's really fun for me to deposit it. But if I ever receive it, I'm like, oh, thanks. Like, great. I still got a lot to do. I have a lot of becoming to still evolve into. But I've received a couple in the last, I guess, one of our people listening who is participating, she's like, it's 9 days. Get it right. So 9 days. Thank you,
Are we
Kelly.
actually like live right now? That
Oh,
people
we're
can see?
live. Yeah,
Oh,
we're
sick. I
live.
didn't
They
even
got
know
you.
that. That's awesome. I
Yeah,
saw
we're
the
on
live up there.
LinkedIn, YouTube, and
Oh
Facebook
my
right now.
gosh. I need to like share this.
Yeah, it'd be awesome. Right
Oh
after.
man,
Right after.
I'm gonna share this right after. But everyone
Please
who's
do.
watching, I love you all.
Yeah, but just receive. I think there's a component, and it makes me think all the way through the conversation of branding, all the way to the conversation of 75 Hard, even is like that understanding that there is a process of giving, and then there's also a process of receiving. And it takes that humility piece, and it also takes that activation piece for us to do both. And they both take a placement in the heart of the Father as well, which allows us to then have a place and person and being to emulate. And so that's something that I want to be better at, is like receiving those words of affirmation and actually taking them to heart, rather than just being really proud when I give them out,
I'm the same way. I honestly, it's like someone sends me a message, I'm like, I don't deserve this.
Right. I'm
There's
like,
so
oh,
much
that
more
was
that I have to
nice.
do. Like, I just want to help somebody, and then you get it and you're like, Thank you. It's yeah, I'm like right there. I'm like right there at the. I'm like, thanks. That's
Yeah, I could have
nice.
done more. That's honestly what I think it is most of the time, especially if it's like a celebratory, like, hey,
Mhm.
congratulations. I'm always like, meh, could have been better.
Yeah, I'm
Right.
the same way. Oh
And
my
it's something
gosh.
I really have to sit with and
Yeah.
realize that our place of blessing, our place of abundance, our place of greatness is different than other people, and it's okay if
Mhm.
they're giving you those affirmations, and it's also a gift to them when we receive with graciousness.
Yeah.
And so I'll challenge us both as we send the encouraging message to also receive one. Now you're going to get one from me. I'm not going to tell you when, but you're just going
Good.
to have to receive it
Good.
well.
I'm excited.
So good. Nathanael, it's an amazing being with you today. I can't wait to tune into the podcast. So it's actually live on podcast listening so far now. Yes?
It's not podcast listening yet.
Okay.
I don't know how to do that, so I'm still working on
I've
learning
got a
that.
whole e-course. You can learn all
Oh,
about it.
great. So
Yeah. And
right
you've
now,
got to do it live. You're doing live on Facebook?
yeah, do it
Okay.
live on Facebook on
Okay.
Nathaniel at Nerdy Nate. I'm gonna call it
Awesome.
the official name, Nathaniel Page with an A.
Ah.
Nerdy Nate. I might change it to Nathaniel G. I kind of like that, but for now it's Nerdy Nate with a 3. So you
I
can
like
find
Nerdy
me
Nate. I feel
easy.
like it's memorable.
So Nerdy Nate with a 3, and 8:30 Eastern Standard Time. And today
8:30 a.m. or p.m.?
PM.
See, when you said that earlier, I was like, oh man, I'm in bed by then, which I
Yeah,
know
I know. A
sounds
lot of people are in
crazy.
bed. It's okay. So that's the only time, my daughter goes
I
to
get it.
bed
I get
at
it.
7, and you have to spend it. I have to spend a little bit of time, as much as I can with her and my wife, and
I
then
get it. I
8:30 I hop
value
on
I
Tuesdays,
value
and
that.
we go down there, and we we go for it.
I'll stay up for a pop party. I'll stay up.
Pop party.
I'll stay up for just once in a while. You might see me in there. I'll come find you. But I love that so much, and I know that it's bringing such joy to the world, and I can't wait to see it kitted as a book. Okay, I'm going to get into all business strategy with you. I want to
Oh
see
boy.
this acronym as a book. I want this whole thing as a book,
Okay.
right? And I want to see it as a podcast on all listening apps here before the next 30 days. You got that. That's
Oh
easy.
boy. All right.
Come on, 30-day challenge.
Challenge
In the midst of a
accepted.
67-day, okay? And then what else can I give you? Eventually, I think you could make it into an e-course, which would be really fun. But you have all the branding pieces that I think the world needs more of and that they're honestly missing. And there's a lot of surface level branding conversations happening. And today's message is truly heart level. And I love that so much. So keep doing the work that you're doing.
Yes, I like it.
Any final things? Where else can they find you on social media? Are you on Instagram, right?
I am. I'm on Instagram. I'm on LinkedIn.
Okay.
I'm not currently on YouTube, just Mohawk Chevrolet. All right. So listen. Okay. Before everyone goes, oh my gosh, you can have all this. I was running 7 social medias by myself.
Ooh, yeah,
It was
that's a
very
lot.
difficult for me to be like, okay, here we go. I'm going to make my own content now,
Yeah, I
And-
get that. That's hard. That's hard.
but I
But if
do
you're
have a
going
team
live
now,
on
which is great.
Facebook, if you do going live on YouTube, you can use
Yeah,
StreamYard.
I can do that.
Just like
I
this.
actually use Livestream Studio 6.
Oh, okay. Of course you do.
I'm getting there. It's a slow
Yeah.
progression. It started off in Clubhouse. I'm like, all right, I can do this.
Okay.
Now we're on Facebook Live, and then we're gonna go to YouTube Live, and then we're gonna get on all the other platforms. We're gonna get there.
You're gonna get there one day at a time. One day at a
One
time.
day at a time. One
Really,
step at
really
a time.
cool. You've done so much already. And I think, again, a part of that receiving and being able to be okay with that is also the reflection of where you've come from. So I love that you said that earlier. Like this wasn't even in my path. And yet here's the open doors, and there will be more open doors in the future. So keep saying yes, friends. Stay jovial. I love your spirit. And I know the God within you has greatness to share to the world that you've yet to tap into.
Try my best every single day. Help one person,
I love it. Hope. Living that hope life. Hope dealer.
Hope dealer.
All right, friend. Thank you for being here.
You got it.